Hey everyone, it's Amy, the Skin and Lash Lady. We're actually in my art studio today because I needed like decent lighting. But today I'm going to go over all the steps on the mini microcurrent, and you can do it along with me. And then I'm going to go back. I'll put in timestamps, hopefully if I can manage that, for each movement. So, and I'll give you a few tips along the way. So what we're going to need is, of course, our mini. Make sure your face is cleansed. I'm going to wash my face in a minute. You can either use the Clareblend solution that comes with your kit. It comes with a 2-ounce is what we can use. Or the one that I always like to use is the Moisture Glide that's available on my website as well. I'm probably going to use this one. And I like to thin mine out as well. Let's see, what else do I need? That is about it. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to cleanse my skin. So I'm just going to use my CeraVe cleanser. It goes on damp skin. So since I'm not near the bathroom, I'm just going to wet my skin with my Vichy water. And cleansing is really important, especially because we want to create some circulation. Now, if you do this at the end of the day and you have a full face of makeup on, I highly suggest you do a double cleanse. But when I really am serious and I'm like, I really want to do my microcurrent today and I really want to get a really great result, I always start and I cleanse my chest. And I'm doing movements like this because you can see I'm getting a little red. Starts circulation. And the other thing that it does, it's going to open up my lymph nodes for drainage. So if you're somebody that has a lot of puffiness in their skin, like I generally do from sinuses, meaning too much salt, you may want to consider doing that. And then I move up onto the neck, and I'm going down in down movement because I want to be moving out and flushing out any of the lymph I have. And you can see I use my knuckles a lot, and you've seen me do these moves before because I want to get a really good result with my microcurrent. And if we prep more, we'll usually get a better result. It's the same thing with anything that we do in life. If we do a little bit extra prep work, and as a painter, I know that if I prep my canvases properly, I'll always have a better result. Same thing if you're painting a house or even if you're cooking and just everything. A little extra, we're in this mode of always rush, rush, rush. A little extra time will help. So I'm going to spend some time working my cleanser in. And the cleanser, always read your label on cleansers. This one, the CeraVe, clearly said on damp skin. My other cleansers work on dry. So always read your directions if you need to have damp skin or dry skin. And I'm actually going to emulsify this a little more. So I'm going to add a little bit more water on my hands just to work the cleanser. And I like to do these small little movements. They're similar to like exfoliation, but it's also creating circulation because the more that I have circulation in my skin, the more it's going to carry away my lymph. And microcurrent is detoxifying as well. So I want to get anything, because I had sunblock on, I want that all gone. I want it broken down. And I really want my skin prepped properly. So we're going to say that's enough. I actually have a damp towel. If I was in the bathroom, I'd be washing my face off and splashing it with water. This is a microfiber towel. They're great. They're soft on the skin, so I'm not pulling and tugging. And if I was home, I usually have a little towel cavity, or I put them in the microwave because a nice warm towel feels really nice on the skin. So, and that, let's get everything off. Okay. Now, one thing with microcurrent is the skin needs water. So if you are dehydrated before you're doing your microcurrent and you didn't give yourself a big drink of water, keep a glass of water here. And in between your movements, if you don't have time to gulp down a big glass, you can sip through. Sometimes you'll see me and I'll take a sip of water because I need to stay hydrated. Now, I'm going to put on my peptides, so I'm drying my skin. If I wasn't putting on my peptides, I would have left my skin damp, but my peptides specifically have to go on dry skin. So these are the Victoria Dan peptides I talk about all the time. I'm using the tone and the lift and the eye serum. So usually, if I only had to pick one to do with microcurrent, I always pick the tone. because tone helps with the wrinkles and it helps to boost collagen. I only need a few drops. I'm going to put them all over my skin, and I bring it down onto my chest. Even though I'm not working my chest today, I'm still going to do it. I wait 1 minute to 2 minutes. So you have to wait at least a minute for this to absorb in. So I'm almost out of my lift. Time for a new bottle. So I'm kind of rushing it in between, but that's fine. One of the things with microcurrent, it will help to push in a lot of these peptides into the skin. So they get a little bit deeper into that lower layer. And I just need for my eye serum 1 drop. That's why I love their eye serum. And this eye serum can go all over the lid. And I always pull it out to my crow's feet. And that's all I need. So if you do your microcurrent in the evening, you don't need to apply your serum again. Now I'm going to mix up my serum. I just have a little ramekin from the dollar store. I have one of my Glymed brushes. There's a little bit of mask left in it. I'm going to use my Moisture Glide, and I like this because I like the pump bottle, and I'm going to pump out about 3 pumps. I can always make more. I can't put it back in. So I always like tell people, don't put out a lot of product. You don't know what your skin's going to absorb. You can always make more. And I like to thin out my gel. So I can use plain tap water because tap water is a great conduction of electricity, but I'm going to use my Skin Recovery Mist. And for those of you who have been following me, this is like my #1 product that I think everybody needs in their kit. This is the Pro Size bottle. It's sodium hyaluronate in water, smaller molecular structure of hyaluronic acid serum. And so that way, it's going to hold water in my skin, and it's also going to give me a little bit of plumping, because why not, right? Okay, so while that's sitting, before I put it on, I am going to plug in my unit. So this is the classic color combination. People always ask me, why is it classic? Is there anything different about it? It's not. It was the only one that they made, and then they started making colors, so they named this one the classic. Now, it has a USB. I'm just putting my USB right into my computer. One of the things, it's a little finicky on the USB. If you're using a USB that's like your big iPhone charger, kind of doesn't like it so much. So I would suggest that you can either use your USB in your computer or one of the inexpensive little blocks for the USB. A lot of times I put also mine in a little portable charger, but I have done this in the car as well. If we're going on a road trip and I have nothing to do, I sit and do my microcurrent. I put the USB right in the car socket. So I've thinned down my gel, and in your kit, when you get your, and mine is very beat up, as you can see. I usually keep this taped on the wall, and I tell everybody, tape it onto your mirror so you can follow along. And we're going to follow along all the 8 movements. So the first movement is movement #1, and that is the neck movement. At the end, I'm also going to do the upper lip movement, which is not listed here, and I will show you as well. There's also another YouTube video that has the mouth movement. So I need to put on my, the light is really showing my hyperpigmentation that's come out. I don't need a lot of gel. And then I start right here. I'm starting right at like my clavicle, my bone, and I'm moving up, and I'm pulling right on top of the jawline. It's going to double beep. And that's 10 seconds. And I go over the exact same spot. I wait for the beep, and I slowly pull up. And I wait for the double beep. Now, the unit is always on, so if you are off your beeps, that's okay. But with the microcurrent in this mini unit, it's not about the speed, it's about slow and hold. So that, I just completed that one section. I'm not on my thyroid. We never work on this area. I'm over. I go to the next section here, and I move up, and I pull up just a little bit over my jawline. And as you can see, the plastic of this case, ooh, I was off, is not touching my skin, which is important. See how I'm very perpendicular against my skin. Both probes are on my face. One more time. Now, if you're not hearing a beep, it's probably because your skin is dry and you need to put on either water or your conductive gel. And one more time, we're here. And I'm going to move up. Now, as you can see, I'm raising up my neck, and I'm doing that on purpose. And I'll show you why. If we're reading this booklet, a lot of people they go like this, you can't get in here. And if you have a lot of skin here, you have to help it. So I always suggest everybody check your posture and raise your neck up. This will be number 2. And this is number 3. Always remember also take off your earrings, take off your jewelry, because we don't want the current to go to that metal. That was movement number 1. Movement number 2, we're going to work this way. I don't have to put on more gel, so I'm just going to go to the side, and I'm going to go all the way to right past my earlobe because I want to engage that muscle. Once again. So I'm right under my jawline. One more time. Sometimes I forget if I did 3 or 4 movements. We don't want to do too many movements because more movements doesn't mean more result. We don't want to ever tire the muscle. It's cumulative effect. And I pull back. I just moved down a little bit. I'm waiting for the double beat. I'm going to go actually a little bit lower here because I have a little row of wrinkle there. And I can feel that my conductive gel is getting sticky, so I add a little bit more. Like I said, I usually thin down my conductive gel like half water, half gel, because I don't want to build up a lot of gel. If you find that your unit is beeping weirdly, a lot of times you just have to clean off your probes because sometimes there's too much gel on it. Just going right along my neckline. I have to do that one more time. Okay, now I'm going to go in this area here because when I realized when I did it, I was a little too low and I want to get that jowl area. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to right along the jowl. This is also to help flush out any lymph that I have there. Wait for the beep. Like I said, the unit is always on, but I use the beep because I don't have to count. Okay, so that was movement number 1 and movement number 2. And now we're going to work on to movement number 3. And you can see it shows from the jawline up to right here. Now I like to do one side of my face and then I'll do the other side of my face. So I'm going right on the jawline. I wait for the beep and I pull up. Now be really mindful of your positioning. You can also turn the unit upside down. And sometimes this way it will remind you to always go up. That's another reason why I like this unit. This little curvature of it helps. And I do turn the unit around. So this way I'm not like, it's kind of like automatically is pulling it up. And each section is 3 times. Now, if you have a bigger face, you can sometimes break it down into 4 sections. I am putting a little bit of pressure in this area because I want to hold it into that insertion point. One more time. Because I'm going right here. Okay, now I move it the other way. Next, move it over again. I move it up. This is almost like the middle of my ear. It's kind of where the 2 bones connect. That's where I'm hitting at. I start at the bottom. And like I said, I do put a little bit of pressure because I want to push that skin up. but I'm not digging into the skin. Remember, we're not digging into the skin. And that is that area. That's movement number 3. Now, movement number 4 is my favorite movement, and that's this whole area. This is where you're getting the lift here to help move all this area. So, more conductive gel. This one, ooh, it's a truck. So this one, I always start in the middle of my chin, and I go straight back to the bottom of my earlobe. I'm going right along the jawline. I'm going to do it again. And I go right along the jawline. And if you go too slow and it beeps in the middle, don't worry about it. You'll just hold it again. So if I go like this and I'm too slow and it beeps again, don't worry. You kind of start learning what 10 seconds is. If you're 11 seconds, that's okay. But we don't want to be fast. Then I move it up, wait for the beep, and I start moving. Remember, keep it. This one I'm going towards the top of my ear, and I am tugging it a little bit. Wait for my beep. Okay, I move it up to the next section, wait for my beep, and then I move it. I'm just under my cheekbone. And I do a little pug right into my hairline. One more time. I know in a lot of the videos, a lot of us that demonstrate, we tend to go really fast because of the timing issues. We run out of time on YouTube. I'm going to do this one more time. It's like lost count. I think this is 4 actually. And as the day goes and I keep hydrating, I'll start getting some lift. Now, I still have enough moisture. Now, my unit beeped, so I'm going to wait for it to double beep because I had a lot of gel that accumulated on it. Okay, so now I'm right here, and I'm like on the cheekbone, kind of below my eye, and also right up into my hairline. Do it again. You can see I'm always even with my face. Like the unit isn't, I'm not like this or wobbling around. And I have both probes always, I was ahead of the beat, but I have both probes always on my skin because you need to make the circuit. Now I'm going to do one more, just a little bit closer in to pull up. It's almost like I just did the eye movement because I want a little bit extra. I'll just do the one more. And that is how you do this whole section. So usually it's about 5 or 6 sections you would be doing. Now we're going to do movement number 5, and that's the under eye area, which I was just starting to hit when I was doing it. And that's this movement. Remember, always refer back to that sheet or always play the video and you can go back. So I'm making sure that I have enough gel. And I go right into like my eye socket right there. I'm not pushing in. Remember, this is sensitive area. And I'm pulling up because I want to get rid of those crow's feet. This is a great move if you're somebody that has a lot of puffy eyes, like our sinuses. And I'm going to pull up. You see, I am putting a little bit of pressure and I'm pushing upwards. I can always flip the unit the other way because this way it automatically sweeps up. So sometimes if you're somebody that you're not being mindful, you can flip the unit the other way. 3 times. We don't want to overwork the under eye area because it can pull out a little too much water and you can end up with a crepey eye a bit. The next movement is movement number 6. Now, some people say, why do you keep looking? I'm going to say, why do you keep looking at this, Amy? You do this all the time. Because my pro unit runs a little different. I always sometimes go to do a movement and I realize it's my pro movement from the pro machine, which works differently. We're going to work the upper eye area, the upper lid area. So many times, clients that have a very hooded lid a lot of times it comes from this whole area and when we hold a lot of tension. So if you're struggling in that area, I have another video that focuses on the eye. And a lot of times we have to do a little bit more facial massage to help get that to release, because sometimes it's a tension issue. So with the eye area, it doesn't matter if you start on this end and this end. I always start at the base here. I'm going to let the machine reset. Let it double beep. Okay, so now I put it right at the base of my eyebrow and I'm pulling up. This one I'm doing a little bit of pressure because I want to push that eyebrow. I'm right on the bone. Now for this one, I'll do it a little differently. Now I'll go to the center and I'll pull up. Usually I'll do one area 3 times at the same time. This one I tend not to. And now when I move it to the tail and I pull up. Now I can tell you, if you just had your eyebrows waxed or you tweezed a hair out, that follicle is going to be sensitive and you may feel the current. Nothing's wrong, but you may feel it. Okay, and then I go back to the base of my eyebrow, wait for my beep, and I pull up. Like I said, this one I am putting some pressure on because I want to lift that brow. Next again, wait for my beep. As you can see, I'm not, it's just the probes on my skin. And I'm going to do it again, right at the base. And I'm going to pull up. It's really important when you're starting with the Mini by Clareblend is to do the protocol exactly as it is in the booklet, because it's really made to hit a lot of those muscles. Now we're going into the forehead. Now this movement for me is always a little tricky. This is the area for the 11s. And we're going to do a movement that's going to go up and over. If you have a big forehead, it's going to glide, but I don't. And I actually have a ridge right there. And I always get caught on the ridge. So it's an up and over move. I tend to use my unit sideways and I'll hit it like this on top. I'm right on top of my eyebrow. I'm up and I move it over into my hairline. I have a very low hairline. So I always make sure my conductive gel is in my hairline. I'm basically tracing my eyebrow. Like I said, if you have a big forehead, you have a lot more room to work with. I'm going to do it one more time. So it's a lifting up and over. The only thing that I tell people on this move is make sure you don't push down. Because remember, we just lifted the area and we don't want to push down. And then I go up again to the next section. I'm going up and I go over. And depending how big your forehead is would be determined where you end it. I tend to put mine, like I said, a little bit more in my hair. So I start at the same place and I move up and I go over. And now I go the same thing and I'm going all the way to the top and over. I know I was ahead of my beep, but that's okay. And I go up and I go over. If you're having trouble, you can always brace your hand over here. And I find that that helps people many times when they're working on this area. So that was 3 times. And the last one is an up movement. And I'm going to give you a little tip on if you have the hooded eye. So the first thing is we go in the center. Wait, let me wait for my beep. And I pull up slowly. Because in the booklet, it only shows the 3 movements. But I like to do a little bit more. Because if you have that hooded eye, we have to work a little bit more in this area, and I'm going to show you. One more time for the 3rd time. And then I'm going to move it over, wait for my beep, and I pull it up, slide up and I hold. And if I wasn't talking and I wasn't focusing and I didn't wash my face, we'd probably be only about maybe 18 minutes into the protocol. It doesn't take long. It's not like we want to sit here for hours using this unit. I always recommend everybody at the beginning to do the unit, to do the protocol, the full face for like 7 to 10 days straight to start getting everything conditioned. Then you can go in and work in 15-minute increments if you want on certain segments. So this is the basic protocol on what's in the booklet. And you know what? It works. They know what they're doing. My arm gets a little tired. Then I'm going to move it here. And I move it not so much out. I'm moving a little to the side into my scalp. And if you want, you can move it this way as well. This is the muscle here that starts to relax. And this round muscle is what causes that small closure of the eye. So I tend to work this area and pull a little bit more. So instead of breaking down in 1, 2, 3, I'll do one section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections. Sometimes I'll even do a 5th section. And I'm going to pull that tail up. Sometimes I have to work when I see a client also with their facial structure. If you have a very broad forehead, very broad brow area, we may have to add in another section. We work with what we got. Everybody's different. One more time. Okay, so that is that whole side of the face. And you can start seeing I have more lift than I did when I started on this side. I am going to take some, it's iced tea, it should be water, but anything but coffee. I'm going to make a little bit more conductive gel. So I'm starting to run out. I'm going to add in my, like I said, I'd like to thin out my gel. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just going to clean this off. I'm going to wait, I think this double beeped. Maybe not. No. And I move up. Now, some people have awkwardness with switching their hands. I don't. So I tend to do my right hand on my right side and my left hand on my left side. But like everything else, it comes with practice. And that was 3. So now I'm moving over here, moving up. Now, if you had an LED light, you would do your LED light after you cleanse your skin, not after. If you're using LED light, you may want to alternate it and use your LED light on one day and your microcurrent on the next day. One more, pull up. And then back here. It's a very noisy day here in South Florida. Actually, I feel that it's a little dry. He's asking me, how do I know that? It's because when I put the probe on it, it's grabbing on my skin, meaning it needs to have a little bit more gel. And it's important to use a conductive gel because it helps with the connection, and it also helps to disperse the microcurrent into the skin. A lot of people say, can I just use water? You're not going to get the best result. I mean, if I'm traveling and in a pinch, I don't have anything, you know, I'm going to use what I have. But I'm going to start at the base and wait for my beep. I'm going to swipe around. And remember, I pull it right back to the muscle. So I'm right past my ear. And you can see I just have the probes on my skin. This is movement number 2. I'll move it up. Make it comfortable for yourself. If you have to move to see yourself in the mirror, then do that. I'm up here. Now I had broken this side of the neck into 4 sections, and I'll probably do the same thing on this one. I think that was, even I lose count. But like I said, if you're off the sequence of the beeps, don't worry about it. The machine is still working. It's just put there as just a convenience. My Pro machine doesn't. A lot of times clients would hear me tap my foot because I would be counting off. But over time, you start realizing how long you've been on it. You know, it's like everything else. It's practice. I go right up to my earlobe. Okay, now we're at movement number 3. Which is that jowl right there. I'm going to clean my probe because it tends to be, this particular unit gets a little bit happy all the time, meaning it tends to beep more. I don't know why. Each one of, I have all the colors. Each unit has its own personality, I think. Right on the jawline, and I'm pulling up. Like I said, I can flip it around. So I always remember to pull up. And I'm only going, like I said, I'm just right here. I'm right at like where you would put like your contour. That's where I'm at. I'm going to move over a little. Next area. Like I said, I went ahead of the beep. It's okay, not a problem. It's better to hold longer than shorter. So if you missed your beep and you weren't sure, just hold it a little bit more. I think that was 3. Like I said, make sure I don't see, like I don't have the unit touching, and all it's going to do is going to interfere with the current going in. So it won't be working as effectively as it should be. This one, I go right to the middle of my ear, just right where that connection is with my upper jaw and my lower jaw meet. Just flip it around this way. So you see, you could do it both ways. One more time. Like I said, I went ahead of the beep. Now I'm going to do that whole area that's like this. Now, you could do it this way. You can do it this way. You can also do it sideways like this. I sometimes will move it around, but I tend to do it as directed. There goes my center. I'm pulling. It's almost as if the unit's made to go right into my jawline. Again. Just following my jawline. I'm not digging in, not doing anything harsh. Just following the contour around. Now I'm going here where my jowl is. I'm actually moving my head so it stays in the camera angle. We're going to do it again. Move it up. Yep. Now, my hand slipped a little to go a little too fast, but it's okay. It's all good. Move it up a little bit. That was 3. Now I'm going to go to my under eye. I'm tangled up in my, I go right into the, I pull up. This is a great move to do in the morning if you have a lot of puffiness in your eyes. This move actually helps to get a lot of the puffiness out of the eyes. And now we're back up to the eyebrow, right to the base. Pull it up. My eye's twitching a little bit, and that can happen, and it's not doing any harm. So don't be nervous if you feel a twitch. That is totally normal. Usually when you do microcurrent over time, the twitching will usually dissipate. If you feel a lot of tingling at the beginning, that's also very normal, because think about it. It's like when you go to the gym for the first time and you work out and then you come home and the next day you're like your muscle's sore, you feel it sore. It's strictly because that muscle has not been exercised. So think of this as like Pilates for the face. Holding it again. I got an itch. Back to the arch. Yep. So I do have like a little twitch in my eye, but like I said, it doesn't do any harm. Usually I lean my elbow on the table because my arm gets tired. And one more time. This is a great also to raise your eyebrows right before you have an event. If you have an event that you're going to before you do your makeup or anything, just do your eye area and you'll have a lifted eye. Also, you'll be pushing in some of the hyaluronic acid serum that's in the product, in the conductive gel. So it also helped to diminish some wrinkles. So I have a lot of clients that come in right before a big event before they have their makeup done, and I just do eye lifts. I just do the eyebrow lifts on them. Okay, now we're going to do that up and over, and that works that area, that glabella area where your 11s are. So now I know I'm ahead of the beep. I'm just tracing over my eyebrow to the end. Like I said, I was over the beep, but that's okay. I'll just wait for the next second beep. As you can see, I have this one wrinkle that I've had forever in that area, and that comes from my scalp. That comes from tension. That comes from a repetitive movement that I always make. Once again, I hook it right in there and I lift it right up. And you can see these prongs really fit nice into our face to get into that muscle area. That's why I love the minis so much. It's like, it's all there for you. I go back up and I move it up now, and I'm moving on the middle part of my forehead. I move it over. And I go back over. Oops. See, I slide a little too much. I have to steady myself. So if you find that your hand is slipping or you're having trouble, just steady it with the other hand. That's all. Don't let it touch the unit, but just steady it. It just helps to stabilize you. Especially like me, like I'm right hand dominant, so my left hand doesn't have as much control. That's all. You can use your other hand, but just put your other hand to hold it. That's all. Once again, this was my last one. I'm ahead of my beep, not a problem. And now my last movement is the forehead and going into up movement. Got a glob of conductive gel. Clean my probe. Now I did the center, so I'm just moving it over because I did the center with the other move. When I did this is my right side. But like I said, you don't have to wait for the beeps. The beeps are just counting it off. I'm just doing it just for demoing. But actually, I do wait for the beep. I'm kind of like a rules girl. Move it over because I did that 3 times. I wait for my beep, and then I pull it up. And this is another area, like I can flip the unit over, so I'm knowing to move up. It's like a little gentle reminder. And I am putting a little bit of pressure because I want to move up that forehead. I think I have enough gel on. Like I said, I have a very low hairline, so I do go into my hair because I got to get into that muscle. I'm putting a little pressure because I want to create a little bit more lift, so I'm pulling a little bit more, but I'm not digging in. Remember, there's a difference. I'm not pushing in, I'm lifting. So just be aware of the 2 different movements. I'm not digging into the skin, I'm lifting up the skin. So a little bit of pressure to help move it up. I'm going to work just a little bit on that area right there, because that area, when it collapses down, is when we get that hooded eye. So I'm going to do the lip, which is not in the protocol that you'll find here, but I do have a separate video, but this is how you do the mouth area. So if you have dental work, you may feel it, you may not. So I put on my conductive gel. I'm going to work on the top lip first. And this is really important to be aware. I always turn the unit upside down because I'm going to do a movement that's like this and up. I don't want to go down because I don't want this area to go down. So I put it right in the center. As you can see, and right at the end, I pull up. Right towards the end of my lip, I'm pulling up into the cheek. And I do it again. The lip, if you have a lot of wrinkles, you can do it like 6 times. But remember, you have to pull up on that end. That's why I always turn the unit around, because this is what people do. They go like this, and it defeats the purpose. So we want to always make sure that we're getting that lift at the end. We call it the snarl in the industry. We're going like a snarl. We pull up. So you can do it 6 times, 3 to 6 times. So in the pro, if you came in for a treatment, I would be doing the upper lip 6 times on a lower frequency. One more, I think 6. And going just along that top vermilion line. And now I'm going to do the bottom. Same thing. I keep the unit like this. I hit it there, and I'm pulling up. And I'm pushing the unit to the opposite direction. Do it again. Also, if you need to stabilize with your hand, go right ahead. We always do the top lip first. The reason is, in case you pull down, we're going to correct it by pulling up. So these little depressors here, these little muscles here, turn the mouth down. And we want to release them and have them go back up. This area takes a while because we use our mouths every day and it's repetitive movement. So deep wrinkles, they didn't happen overnight and they don't erase overnight. So you can get a reduction in them, but please have a realistic expectation. You're not always going to have a super smooth lip line. Now I'm going to do the other side again. And then I'll give you one more little tip at the trick. I think it's on my eye one. Like I said, I'm moving up. Do it again right at the middle, the philtrum, and I just follow my lip and I pull up. I tend to go a little bit, I don't always go to the end. Sometimes I go to here and then I flip up. I actually do not work my mouth area very much at all. I tend to do the traditional protocol that's in the booklet, exactly as it is. And I think this one makes 6. I'm turning up. And people say, why do you not? I have a lot of broken capillaries more on my lip than wrinkles. So I think it's just not an area that bothers me. This area bothers me the most. Put it back in the center and this. And turn up. Like I said, make that snarl. I can only snarl on the one side. Again. One more. And I'm just going to do a little movement on my eye. And I'll show you that one. I have a little bit of crepiness in here. Sometimes a lot of crepiness. You know, I'm getting older too. And sometimes I just take the unit and I just wiggle it in that area right there. Super light, no pressure. I'm just going right into like my eye socket. And like a washing machine movement, back and forth, back and forth. Do it on the other side. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, if I can do it, is just that I'm pushing in my serum. It's really, that's the only reason why I'm doing that. I want my serum, my eye serum that I use, to be a little bit more effective. And because I'm using a facial mist that has a lot of sodium hyaluronate in it, I want to plump up those wrinkles. So it'll give the illusion of some retraction. And you can already see it looks a little bit better. So, and that's all I do. And that is the whole protocol. So you can get your unit, follow along. Remember, it's slow and steady. Tape this up onto your wall so you can look at it. You can't do any harm. There's just a few things that you need to remember. Make sure your skin is cleansed well. Make sure that you're properly hydrated. If you just came from the gym or running and you're still sweating, this is not the best time to do microcurrent, okay? Slower movements are better, and just be mindful of your positioning, that you're not hitting the case to your skin. It's not that you need more movements, just slow them down. 3 in each area is what you need to do. You need consistency. So when you start your protocol, you should be doing this at least every day for 7 to 10 days before you start cutting back. There are some clients that will do it every single day for a month. More power to you. I like to give my skin a little bit of a break, but if you have the time to do it, go right ahead. You can also do certain sections after you do the initial 7 to 10 days. We need all the muscles in the face engaged to get a great result. Now, if you don't have the peptides, will you still get a result? Yes, the peptides, in my opinion, just help it a little bit along. Now, people always ask, what do? I have the gel on my face. I don't have anything else to do right now today, so I'm going to leave the gel on for a little bit, but I will end up washing it off. I probably will apply my serums or my other serums that I don't use during microcurrent, and then put on my moisturizer and go to bed. That's usually how I do it. If it's in the morning and you're going to be putting on makeup after this, I would suggest washing all of this off and then prepping your skin for your makeup. Please remember, if you have any questions about the Mini and you need help with it, I'm here to help you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for getting your Mini. And don't forget, you need to wash your face.